Hi guys, welcome back to my next Throwback Thursday, where I'm going to talk about when my light aura seizures really started kicking off and got more stressful, and I'll let you guys know why that happened. So let's get into it. All right, so at this point was late August of 2020, so just this past year. And that was deep in the pandemic when school had started, virtual school. Now, my 6-year-old had just started first grade in a new school. My 11-year-old had just started 6th grade in a new school. My husband had just started teaching in his university classes virtually. So they were all home in the house. I wasn't working because I was on disability. So I was having to try and help my kids with their school while my husband was teaching in our bedroom and dealing with these brand new kinds of seizures that I wasn't used to. So, stress might have been a new trigger I wasn't used to. And I'm not a patient person in general. So God bless these kids. They were trying so hard. They were doing great with these new school surroundings, trying to figure out new classmates, new teachers, new ways of learning. They adapted really well. Me, not so much. Woo! The teachers were great. They adapted really well also. They were really helpful. But we got through it. We learned well. But yeah, these new seizures kind of got more frequent, snowballing on me, and I wasn't sure what was happening. And Dan, of course, it goes without saying, Danny was great. In between classes, he'd come in, he'd help teach them, he'd take over. He could tell that I was getting overwhelmed. I'd be like, I have to walk away from this for a minute. I'm going to sit outside. I'm going to go relax in the bedroom for a minute because it's all too much. So I'm going to take some me time. I got to take care of me for a little bit. And so, it seemed like every few days I was having these new kind of seizures. Maybe throw in a couple of grand mals, tonic, clonics, but it was mainly these new seizures because Kepra was still doing his job. Kepra was fighting for me, keeping the tonic, clonics away, but I hadn't gotten on a new medication yet. It was still just Kepra because my epileptologist was still keeping an eye on it. I had a appointment scheduled, a virtual appointment, but it was still a couple weeks out, and chaos was going on with the pandemic, so it was horrible timing. But God, I don't miss those days. That was a rough time. So I think the last one I was talking about was August 18th, August 20th, something like that. I know I had one August 20th for sure. And I had written in my notes that it was an extremely stressful day with my 6-year-old. Not necessarily because of him, but just the teaching part where he was struggling, to learn a new topic, because there is a big difference from kindergarten to first grade and the learning styles, because they're really getting into it there and learning their letters and all this kind of stuff. And so stress mode up here, and I just, my brain couldn't take it, so, and then, another one again in beginning of September, which again, I know, grand scheme of things, some people have multiple seizures a day. They have it way worse than I do. I'm just talking about my experience, where it was difficult for me, whereas I'd had none, the year and a half before. So this was just a whole new world for me. I didn't know what was going on. So just talking about me, my experience, it was stressful for me. So during those school hours when I would feel one coming on, because I'd still have, you know, a few minutes warning because I'd see the light flashing coming, which thank goodness I have a little bit of warning. I'd go back into the bedroom if Danny wasn't teaching. If he was teaching, I'd send him a quick text, say, hey, something's about to happen. I'm going to sit on the couch and just let it go. Because at least on those, I wouldn't do the shaking thing, as my kiddos called it. And I could just kind of zone out for a little bit and say, Mama's going to sit down. You know, if you need anything, go interrupt Daddy. It'll be fine. But luckily, it was just, they handled it great. They understood. They left me alone. It worked out as well as it could in those situations. So, you know, for the first couple of months of virtual school, that was how we were dealing with it until, you know, I'll talk about in the next video when we finally started getting me on new medications to try and figure out what combinations are going to work for me. But yeah, that was a crazy time. So let me know down below in the comments, how did the pandemic, the beginning of all that, affect you guys? I'm sure the stress levels went up. Did it increase your seizures, change your seizures? Did you have to stay home, have extra kids, have extra husbands? If you had a job, work from home? I'd be curious to know. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.